Welcome to the Holly Hibbard Leadership Podcast, your go-to source for actionable insights, practical advice, and inspiring stories to help you lead with faith-filled purpose at work and at home. If you're looking to equip, empower, and encourage yourself to thrive in an ever-changing world, you're in the right place. I'm Holly Hibbard, and with over 20 years of experience as a science teacher, leadership coach, entrepreneur, and relationship mentor, I understand the challenges and growth opportunities that come with pursuing your passion. Whether you're chasing career goals, taking entrepreneurial leaps, or finally reaching for those long postponed ambitions, I'm here to help. So let's get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations and explore ways you can lead your family, lead your life, and find your calling with intention and faith. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for tuning in. I am so appreciative of you and your open mind and your willingness to put your ability to lead well first and making it a priority. I want to chat today about a controversial topic: why people don't care about work anymore. This is something that in day-to-day conversations, whether it be with people I know or even on social media or in the media, there is this narrative floating around out there that nobody wants to work anymore. And maybe you've said this yourself. Maybe you have heard people say this. And then that narrative comes with an underbelly of reasons why. Everything from Gen Z or Gen X are lazy, or because of what happened during the lockdowns and pandemic in 2020, people got spoiled. People have created a narrative of working from home doesn't count. What could you possibly get done at home? You need to be in a work environment to get anything done and be productive. And also, another narrative, a storyline, is people are only out there chasing the money. Because especially as we came out of COVID and lockdowns and people went back to an in-person brick and mortar workplace, sometimes there were simply better offers, better paying offers, namely. Maybe better offers culturally, where they felt like the workplace they would transition to would be better in that sense. But most of the time it was chasing money. And with all of that, this narrative of why people don't care about work anymore is sticking around. And I want to address this because, I tend to be an eternal optimist, and I tend to believe in the good in people. Are there people out there who are lazy, who are apathetic, who do not want to work, who do not care to seek out a career that they feel serves a life purpose or a big meaning? Sure. There are people who truly work to live, and that is it, and they are okay with that. Some people are okay with it and are content with it even. Some people are seemingly, they say they're okay with it, but then they just complain all the time. But I want to address the people that we might think they're only here grabbing dollars and they're putting in the bare minimum effort. One of my favorite content creators does such a great job, and I wish I knew the name. I'll try to find a video, maybe link it in the show notes, but don't hold me to that. They do such a great job at making shorts, reels, if you will, where he's demonstrating the difference between a Gen Z worker, a millennial employee, a Gen X employee, and a baby boomer, aka a boomer. And he nails it, in my opinion, of every generational difference that has come along. Yes, because of this transition period that the world stopped and then revved back up again through a pandemic, but also generational differences which happen regardless of illness, lockdown, pandemic, any of that stuff. That didn't need to happen for these generational differences to occur. And it's really easy for one generation of people to look at another and say they don't care about their work anymore. You also could say that some might take on a perspective of That person cares about their work too much. That person doesn't care about their family anymore. That person doesn't care about their marriage anymore. That person doesn't care about their joy anymore because they put their work first. So there is no right or wrong answer here. However, I did want to highlight for you all today something that has shifted in this time. And regardless of what generation you are in, with your age range or whichever one you think that you're the most like. For example, I'm right on the edge of being an elder millennial and a Gen X. My birth year goes either way. But I can take this information and know that these things are happening, but also choose not to use this information to blanket my opinion on thousands, if not millions of people and what their work ethic is like. Something I want to bring to the forefront here is Generation Z. So these are the folks who are at their oldest right now. They are, I want to say 26, 27 years old. I'm recording this in 2024. And it might even be a little bit younger than that. And these folks are starting to enter the workplace, and their next closest elders are millennials. And what has happened is, because Gen Z were in middle school, high school, in college, or 21, 22, when the lockdown happened, there was a lot of normal, quote unquote, opportunities in life that they were not privy to. They didn't have the opportunity to do. And while, we might say, oh, boo-hoo, you missed your prom, you missed your graduation, or we feel genuinely sad about that, I also want you to think about, if you are older than this age range, if you're older than Gen Z, think about how much you learned about how to work when you were high school age, college age, young adult, quarter life crisis, 25 years old-ish. You can't tell me that you weren't learning how to interact with people and how not to interact with people in your first job, second job, 10th job. It doesn't matter what kind of career you were in, part-time, full-time, college, trade school, does not matter. We learn in that time how to be around people. And if you miss out on a few years of that, that's going to rock the boat. That is going to make some people lag a bit behind in their social skills. So, example one of why people don't care about work anymore, it may not be that they don't care, but they may simply be behind in their ability to communicate and know really how to be, how to act, what to do in the workplace due to lack of experience, due to lack of exposure. And that might not be their fault or their doing. It might be a result of the circumstances of the times. Another thing I want to highlight about why people don't care about work anymore, or why we don't think that they do, is a big shift with the older Gen Z and yes, millennials, is purpose. And especially post-pandemic era, when the world stopped, people had no choice but to sit and think. Now, even if you were in an industry where you are in the medical field, or you are in, a workforce that was deemed necessary, which I hate that word, right? Regardless, I think it's safe to say the majority of humankind on Earth was questioning during that time, what the heck am I doing? Do I feel purposeful in what I'm doing? Do I have joy in what I'm doing? Do I have rest in the time that I'm doing this? Can I take a breather? Or we learned how necessary that rest or that breather was. People started to notice they were making work their life and they hated it, either because they felt overworked or stressed out or super anxious, or they hated it because they noticed that a consequence of that was their friendships falling away, their relationships falling away, their disconnection was increasing with the people in their life, and they didn't want those consequences. So as a result, example number 2, why people don't care about work anymore, or we don't think they do, is because purpose has become one of the top reasons someone chooses to work where they do. Now, an older generation, like boomers or baby boomers, and even some of Gen X, because, we were raised by boomers, we were taught to chase the dollar. We were taught to climb the ladder, to increase our income, and to put the effort toward that, to chase the dollar. And because millennials and also Gen Zs have had this massive pause, as have all of us, they were a little more open to saying, you know what, I would rather take a pay cut, even if temporary, so that I can have purpose in what I am doing, so that I can know that I am able to experience joy in my workplace in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's not joy in the actual job itself or the task itself, but maybe it's joy in the people that they are with. Because that time of, I'm just going to suck it up to make more money, it still happens. It still happens. And purpose is slowly overriding that. And another reason that it's coming forth so much more, purpose, is because social media has given us more than ever thousands of examples of ways people make a living and create a life that they actually enjoy and feel fulfilled in. And the more people are noticing and learning that these opportunities are out there, they're going to go for it if they're serious about it. Again, this is not going to be everyone, but if a person is really all about purpose and not chasing the mighty dollar, they might do things like not work overtime because they don't care. They would rather spend their weekend or their holidays with their friends and family or doing their hobbies instead of working overtime. And what does that get perceived as? Oh, they don't care about work. Nobody wants to work hard anymore. Not necessarily. In a lot of cases, that person is simply clear on their priorities. And it doesn't mean that they are not a hard worker or they do not care. It simply means that they're prioritizing the other areas of their life alongside their career as equally as possible, or to where they feel comfortable. So just because a person is prioritizing, again, doesn't necessarily mean that they don't care about work anymore. Finally, example number 3 of why people don't care about work anymore is we can look at the amount of recruitment is taking to find, quote, good people. And we can also look at the increase of, or rather the lack of retention that is happening. People are leaving their work quicker than ever. The turnover is higher than ever. And again, we can go back to that narrative. Does that mean that people don't want to work anymore? Again, the answer is no. The dollar and what people are making is a drive for some people. And if they are confident in their ability and in their ability to move to another role or another career or another position and make more money, that might be enough for some people to jump ship. However, back to example number 2, people will just leave because they don't like their boss. They don't like the person who is supervising them, managing them. They don't like that the person is micromanaging them. Sometimes if an employer, this might be a hot take, if an employer has been through such a recruitment nightmare and lack of retention, it can be so much easier for that employer to say, you know what, people just don't want to work anymore. But you know what, buddy? There's a common denominator, and it might be you, unfortunately. People, can say they're going to chase the dollar, or they might leave your organization, and you may just assume, oh, they must say that they're going to go make more money, or it might be closer to home, or my work was brick and mortar, and now they're going to go and work remotely because that's more important to them. And that might be the truth. But if we really narrow down the number one reason why people stay where they are working, it's because they like their boss. They like who they are working for. I'm not just talking about culture. The culture of a company is not only determined by you getting along with your coworkers. There's so many facets to it, and I'll have a guest on and we'll actually break down all of that more deeply into all the layers. But who you work for, what you feel when you are at work day in and day out, that is from the top down. And if you do not like who you report back to, that likely will cause you to leave, because if the dollar is not being chased anymore and it's not so much about, working overtime and proving yourself to be an outstanding career person, you know what people are chasing? Their mental health. They value their mental health and their rest more than ever. And again, that's a result of what's happened in the last number of years, because so many people, all of humanity went through trauma as a result of that pandemic. For some folks, it was a macro trauma, meaning they lost people in their life that they loved, or they saw things and experienced things that were a nightmare. And at minimum, the entire world experienced a micro trauma. Your whole world stops for a couple of years? Who didn't second guess or question what they were doing, what they valued, where they should be, who they should be with? And we've got to stop thinking that, that's over, so everyone should just bounce back to their best. No, my friend, everyone is recalibrating to what that best is now. And while you may be stuck, terrible boss, on people don't care about work anymore, remember, you're the common denominator. Start to get curious about what they are experiencing when they are, yes, working their job, but even if they work remote and they're not even physically near you, you still have the ability to create an experience for your teammates, your colleagues, your employees, where they love what they do or they don't. And it's not as much to do with the task as it is with how others make them feel and how they feel while they are doing the work that they do. If it has purpose, if they feel cared for, if they feel like they as a person, not just as an employee, but they as a person are seen and talked to and checked up on. Oh my goodness, now you want to know about their inner world and not just their outer world, but only the part that has to do with you, their leader. I know I'm talking to somebody right now. I just want you to know that this narrative of people just don't want to work anymore is costing businesses money. So what's it going to take to get out of this bind? People have got to care. Namely, leaders have got to care. So if you are a person who is in a leadership role, and this goes for your family too, you care about your family, you care about your neighbors. You don't have to like everyone, but how can you show a level of care or concern? Can you listen when you actually ask somebody, hey, how was your weekend? Pause. Stop talking. Give them a moment to answer. Because what do most of us do? Oh, it was good, thanks. It was good. How about you? Good. And that's it. And we move on. We're so much better than that. We're capable of so much more than that. So no more of this story, you guys, about why people don't care about work anymore. Nobody wants to work. Everyone's lazy. Let's just cut it. Cut it out. It's not serving anyone. And it's definitely not making us exceptional leaders. I know this probably touched some points for some of you, and I will say sorry, not sorry. This is part of the passion that I have for leadership. If you could use practical tools on how do I care about people? I thought I was, but maybe I'm not. That is what I do. That is part of my partnership with Reaching Higher and the type of trainings and work that we bring to businesses and organizations. So feel free to drop me a line at any time. And at minimum, please leave me a comment. Please subscribe to the show. I want to hear your feedback. Have you worked with someone or for someone and you feel like they don't really want to work anymore? And how come? What do you notice about that? Share with me, because I'm learning right alongside you. And until next time, I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. I'm high-fiving you right now because I'm so proud of you for putting your personal growth first. Remember, I believe in you, and with faith-filled intention and committed actions, you can lead your life, purpose, and family to wherever you dream possible. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you'd take 30 seconds to help others discover the show. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, share the show with your friends and family, or screenshot this episode to your Instagram stories and tag me at the Holly Hibbard. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. I'm always here cheering you on, and until next time, stay curious, remain encouraged, and keep empowering yourself. You're doing better than you think, I promise.